In 2017, Pulitzer Prize-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar released his critically acclaimed album Damn, which boasted his impressive lyricism and wide range of flows.
Hey, I'm the realest nigga after all, bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down, be humble.
In an interview, he broke down the 12th track Fear. On the cut, he tells the story from his perspective at 3 different times in his life, 7 years old, 17, and 27, and said that, quote, "These verses are completely honest."
I'd rather talk about my reality. When you hear these stories, it's a little bit deeper than just the music.
But don't let the simplicity of the concept fool you.
Nigga, you gon' fear me if you don't fear no one else.
Kendrick's rhyme style on Fear is old school. And I don't mean like Biggie and Tupac old school, I mean like Cicero and Aristotle old school.
That's Adam Bradley, director of the Laboratory for Race and Popular Culture at the University of Colorado Boulder and author of the Anthology of Rap. He joined us to break down Kenny's complex lyricism on Fear, verse by verse.
I'm talking fear. Fear losing loyalty for pride, cause my DNA won't let me involve in the light of God.
The Compton rapper uses a number of devices in his lyrics, going beyond traditional rhyming patterns and structures.
When people analyze the poetics of hip hop, we often focus on rhythm and rhyme and really obvious forms of wordplay. But there are all these other exotic figures and forms going on that stretch back really millennia in terms of their lineage.
Throughout the track, Kendrick uses a device that dates back to the biblical times, called anaphora, which is defined as, quote, repetition of a word or expression at the beginning of successive phrases, clauses, sentences, or verses, especially for rhetorical or poetic effect. That biblical tie plays a huge part in the 8-minute track that serves as a sort of prayer, from the lyrical mentions of God to the opening moments with Kenny's cousin Carl Duckworth.
Why God do I gotta bleed? Every stone thrown at you resting at my feet.
Kendrick Lamar is, if nothing else, also a preacher at times. His sermon is in these 3 verses, and it's also in everything that surrounds it. He consciously structures to communicate a message of faith.
This repetition of phrases like "why God" and "I beat your ass" limits the track's vocabulary, which ultimately results in the words holding more meaning.
I beat your ass, keep talking back. I beat your ass, who bought you that? You stole it. I beat your ass if you say that game is broken.
If you look throughout Fear, Kendrick is really putting together a masterclass on this form. To me, that's just such at once a kind of basic technique. In his hands, it's a high form of art.
Notable literary giants like Cormac McCarthy, Ernest Hemingway, and Langston Hughes often intentionally confine their language to a few root words, like Hughes repeating "does it" for emphasis.
Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet?
Along with anaphora, Kung Fu Kenny employs another literary device called assonance, which is defined as a relatively close juxtaposition of similar sounds, especially of vowels. That assonance shows up with words prentice, finish, and bitchin', with the I sound being repeated.
I beat your ass if you walk in this house with tears in your eyes, running from poo-poo and prentice. Go back outside, I beat your ass, little nigga. That homework better be finished. I beat your ass, your teachers better not be bitching about you in class.
I just love words. I just love how to bend them. I love how to break them. I love how to twist them. You can manipulate it, and that shows the true craft and your swordsmanship.
Back on the verse, he catches the listener off guard yet again, trading the repetition of "I beat your ass" for "better not." Instead of continuing the same pattern, he chooses to break it up and slip into a similar but different pocket.
The brain itself is wired to respond to patterns and to breaks in patterns.
Them Jordans better not get dirty when I just bought them. Better not hear about you humping on Keisha's daughter. Better not hear you got caught up. I beat your ass, you better not run to your father.
Kendrick knows when the repetition is on the verge of becoming too much. He pulls it back, gives us a refresher, and then goes right back into it.
Next up is the chorus that brings us one of his trademarks, his vocal distortions that act as an aid of relief and transition, which Genius News has covered in the past.
If I can smoke fear away, I roll that motherfucker up. And then I take 2 puffs. I'm high now. I'm high now.
Kenny warps his voice all over the cut, and each verse brings a new character. Verse 2 sits in a deeper register to underscore the mortality of the repeated "I'll probably die."
He's rapping in a tone that's almost nihilistic, that's almost a teenage despair.
I probably die anonymous, I probably die with promises, I probably die walking back home from the candy house. I probably die because these colors are standing out.
You write these lyrics from a place where it's your true raw emotions. You know, whenever time I put a pen to the page, it's raw emotions.
Kendrick intentionally uses alliteration to deliver a poignant message about police brutality in a clever way.
alliteration with that B sound, body, black, bones. That echo of that sound creates a subtle connection that says, pay attention to me, pay attention to this line.
I probably died from one of these bats and blue badges. Body slammed in black and white paint, my bones snapping.
The next verse gives us the first instance of in-rhyme, the most commonly used rhyming scheme, with all and hall. It's completely unexpected, and he does so right before sliding into a moment of incredible vulnerability.
At 27, my biggest fear was losing it all. Scared to spend money, had me sleeping from hard to hard. Scared to go back to Section 8 with my mama stressing. 30 shows a month and I still won't buy me no Lexus.
While the rest of the song is deeply rooted in insecurity, the final bars of Fear intensify and go beyond the constraints of a normal verse, further cementing his individuality as a lyricist.
Within 14 tracks, carried out over wax, wondering if I'm living through fear or living through rap. Damn.
He's just rapping beyond all means of what we have conditioned rappers to do with the 16-bar verse. He's just saying, fuck it, I got things to say, and I'm gonna take my time to say them.
Kendrick Lamar is arguably one of the best rappers in the game, and it's because he hones his craft, taking writing forms from different genres, time periods, and prose. And Fear, even in its simplicity, gives us one of the most complex and nuanced verses of Dot's career,
where you have a continuity in form that connects poets from across centuries. And no one is better at that now than Kendrick Lamar.
I'm Delisa with Genius News, bringing you the meaning and the knowledge behind the music.